Let's start with a big story we're tracking at this hour. South Indian states, especially Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu, are bearing the brunt of a pronounced labour shortage that's impacted business at real estate projects, mills and certain textile units. Here's the story as it stands today. A number of migrant workers, some reports say, recently made their way back home to states like West Bengal, Odisha, Jharkhand and Bihar, only they aren't back yet. The resulting situation is one where multiple real estate projects across key metropolises are seeing a severe shortage of construction hands, even as textile mills are also running at only about 70% capacity, owing to a number of machines and stations simply not being staffed adequately enough. Now, the reasons for the exodus and no return are rather simple. Reports point to the emergence of employment opportunities closer home to these states, and that's giving the migrant workforce who live there reason to stay and not return. Moreover, concerns surrounding the conflict in West Asia and material price rise resulting in possible job loss have also resulted in workers choosing to stay home and not get back just yet. CEOs are now brainstorming ways to bring labor back, and to speak to us about how this is playing out in the industry and what lies ahead for South India's labor-intensive industries, I'm now joined by Balasubramanian A, Senior VP at Teamly Services. Mr. Balasubramanian, good to have you with us here on the bulletin. My first question to you, how is this impacting business and the economy right here in South India? These three states, Kerala, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, rely to a very large extent on migrant labor, as some states like to call it, the guest workforce. A large part of that workforce isn't quite coming back just as yet. How is the impact likely to be felt across the industry here in South India, Mr. Balasubramanian?
Yeah. Hi, good evening, and firstly, thanks for having me. Just to take a step back and looking at what is really happening. What we are seeing now is not a sudden labor shortage. It's a classic case of labor mobility, which is reacting to uncertainty. Now, South India has always, at least for the last several decades, depended on migrant workers from states like West Bengal, Assam, Bihar, Odisha. Now, that dependency hasn't really changed. What has changed is the confidence of the worker. Now, structurally, if you see as to why South India depends on migrants, industrially, South India has done very well. Just give you a statistical example. If you look at the state GDPs of Tamil Nadu and UP, they are quite close. Tamil Nadu is slightly ahead. But if you look at the population, UP has 3x the population of Tamil Nadu, if not more, which means the GDP per capita is also 3 times. And which means that state is a lot more productive, primarily because of the degree of industrialization in Tamil Nadu and adjacent states as well, such as Kerala, Karnataka, even EP Telangana for that matter. Now, this productivity juxtaposed with the fact that over the last 2 decades at least, the fertility levels have been alarmingly close to, if not dropping below replacement levels, has further compounded the problem of lack of adequate availability of local supply. Now, be it construction in Bangalore, Hyderabad, etc., or textile industry in Tirupur, or manufacturing clusters across various parts of Tamil Nadu, growth has outpaced local labor supply. Two things have happened, particularly in the last decade, besides the points that I mentioned. Education levels have improved locally, so fewer people are entering low-wage manual jobs. And aspirations have also shifted, especially among younger workers. So interstate migration filled that gap to an even larger degree than before. In some sectors like construction, textiles, etc., migrants are not just supplementary anymore; they are core to operations, which is why the impact is felt in a significant way. Now, businesses are feeling this pinch mainly because there is a lack of certainty about this. During COVID, of course, there was a massive reverse migration that happened. It was almost a 1-0 situation. But now it is happening sporadically. News comes out, and information travels much faster because India has close to a billion plus active WhatsApp users, and these people do have access to that. They get access to news outside of this as well. So information spreads fast, and you don't really have any control over how many people are going to move back. If it is a seasonal pattern where after the festive season, there is Diwali for Chhat Puja, etc., people go back, but then you know for a fact that post harvest, that is mid January or so, they will come back as well. So companies can plan for it. But now the pinch is significantly felt for a smaller degree of reverse migration because of the lack of certainty. That's the bigger situation on hand.
Absolutely. And thanks for breaking that down in terms of giving us a bird's eye view of sorts, Balasubramanian, and how dire the situation really is as far as these states in South India are concerned. I'm also being joined by Murli Malayappan, Chairman and MD at Shriram Properties. Mr. Murli, good to have you with us on the show as always. What's the impact like? You have ongoing projects in Bengaluru, in Chennai to a large extent. What's the present day labor situation there, and how suboptimum is it when compared to what it's normally like on an ideal day, and how has that impacted business, Mr. Murli, at your projects?
Good evening. As you know, we have projects all over South, and also in Pune, we have recently launched about a year ago 2 projects. We have collectively closed about 10,000 laborers working across all the project sites other than Calcutta. Calcutta also we have a large township. Other than Calcutta, we have close to about 10,000 laborers between Bangalore, Chennai, Vizag and Pune. This is seasonal. We know that people have gone back to their hometowns for election. Now Bengal has given good election results. It is good for the country. The nation will make the right progress. When Northeast is doing well, nation will make the right progress. There is a good positive momentum today. Like UP, there is a big change which has taken place. Because of that, there is a lot of infrastructure activity has taken place in UP. Now there is a hope today, and Bengal also will take a much bigger leap of growth in the next 5 years' time. That calls for a huge labor force to be deployed in the local areas. Having said that, we have seen in the UP last about 8-9 years tremendous amount of infrastructure activity which has taken place, but still people have been available for work in South India. Same thing we expect in Bengal also. Yes, there is a positivity, but the kind of labor strength which is available there, particularly trained, untrained, people in Bengal. So we don't see a major issue. So
Right.
far, we have not witnessed any major challenge in any of our project site today. Yes, there has been a shortage due to election, and we expect people to come back today in a big way.
You expect people to come back, yes, but what kind of timeline are you looking at to have a large part of the migrant labor that has left to come back? So what is the timeline that you're looking at, really, Mr. Murli?
Maybe next 2-3 weeks' time. See, this big election results, maybe they are not anticipated, but we anticipated these election results.
All right.
So this initial euphoria, people will stay a little longer than to celebrate the victory of their own state. Now they'll all come back. A good amount of people will come back today, and we don't see this as a major challenge at this point of time.
Right, 2-3 weeks. That's not too bad now, is it, Mr. Balasubramanian? The fact is that sure, it's not an ideal situation, but if we were to look at a 2 to 3 week window, like Mr. Murli Malayappan says, for labor to come back, do you foresee the situation, perhaps getting back to normalcy in the foreseeable future at least, Mr. Balasubramanian?
It should happen eventually. I don't really know exactly if it's going to happen in the next few weeks or if it could take longer or it may happen even before that. But I can shed some light exactly on why there is a bit of a hesitation now among migrant workers versus earlier. See, the point is maybe 20 years back, this sort of migration from north or eastern parts of India to the southern part of India was happening mainly because of wage arbitrage. There, they didn't really have access to high paying formal work in the same quantity as they would in, let's say, the southern states. And hence, it made sense for them to migrate. But the degree of formalization is quite high now. Now, pre-pandemic, we had about 4 crore formal workers in India. And now we have about 8 crore formal workers in India. And that's happened within the last 10 years, in the last 7-8 years, to be precise. So, and a big chunk in terms of the growth in formal work has happened in those states, in the north and eastern states. So even locally, they do get access to formal work with social security benefits. And if you compare the minimum wages across various states in India, be it north or south, it's not really very different. So the wage arbitrage has all but disappeared. And now it's a question of choice. Now they can come to southern states to work, or they can stay back as well. But if they come here
Right.
and if there is
You know,
uncertainty and they do not get
right.
continuous work, their costs are still higher, right? They still have to spend more money for housing, food, and all those things, which they don't have to if they stay back home.
Fair enough. No, so in fact, let me take the question back to Mr. Murli then. You know, Mr. Murli, you heard Mr. Balasubramanian make that point that the wage arbitrage has begun fading in a sense, and there is no great value for migrant labor to actually return to these parts possibly. So is there a sweetener that MDs and CEOs are possibly throwing in, or HR heads are throwing in to get a large chunk of the labor back here? Perhaps better benefits. Is there a value addition that you think HR teams might have to provide now to ensure that you always have a labor supply for let's say for real estate projects insofar as Shriram properties are concerned? What's that incentive really, Mr. Murli?
Force was about 4 crore, has become 8 crores today. So that's a big supply of manpower has taken place in the last about 7-8 years in the marketplace. That's the reason UP has recorded tremendous amount of infra opportunity, which means employment opportunity as was provided. But still, we get quite a good amount of laborers from UP. Does not come down. Likewise, Bengal also same thing we expect. But on the other question, what you asked, yes, we have moved, not now. We have moved sometime back during COVID. We learned how to accommodate people. It's a big learning for us. So we provide a good quality of accommodation for them, good quality of education for their children, and also some travel and all that, food, quite a lot of things we do in all our project sites. In fact, probably the governments in UP and West Bengal, which they start providing new employment, they may not be able to provide the facility and the ecosystem what we provide in our sites. So naturally, there will be a pull for these laborers to come back and work here because of the ecosystem what we have already started providing. It's not the new we have been providing. During COVID time, we started this, providing good accommodation, food for them, and also education for the children, taking care of the family. All that is happening in a big way today. So hence, it's a additional cost which has been provided for, as Bala was saying, cost can go up, but it has already gone up during COVID. So I don't expect that to go up further, which is likely to continue, which people are like us, like big large corporations like us, we have started providing some time back. So that cost has been factored. I don't see further cost going up.
Well, one can only say that migrant workforce is, at this time and place at least, one of the more valuable assets for companies across manufacturing, heavy South India, especially in the construction space. And let's hope the situation gets back to normal and work resumes without too much interruption and it's business as usual. On that note, Mr. Balasubramanian, Mr. Murli, great speaking with you as always. Thanks so much for joining us on South Central and breaking down some of these insights. Well, moving on then. Kerala CM-elect V.D. Satheesan will take the oath of office on the 18th of May. Satheesan, remember, inched ahead of his party rivals K.C. Venugopal and Ramesh Chennithala to end up as the Congress High Command's pick for the state's next chief minister. The former leader of the opposition in Kerala, also a six-time MLA from the Paravur constituency, was instrumental in leading the UDF to its handsome victory in the assembly elections and is also being seen as a hands-on, ground-level Congress legislator. Satheesan met Governor Rajendra Arlekar yesterday and formally staked claim to form the next government in Kerala. He also paid a visit to Thiruvananthapuram's Sri Padmanaswamy temple soon after to offer prayers before preparations for the swearing-in begins. The chief minister's swearing-in, remember, is expected to be conducted at the Chandrasekharan Nair Stadium in the city. Shifting focus to Tamil Nadu next, it's closing in on a week since Vijay took the oath of office as chief minister and the state does not yet have its cabinet portfolios allocated just yet. Now, while prominent TVK MLAs, including Adav Arjuna, G. Kirtana and N. Anand, among others, took oath as ministers, Vijay hasn't yet allocated portfolios to these individuals, among many others. In a chat with ET Now, political analyst Sumant Raman told me that could well be because the new chief minister is still performing a balancing act with allies that's spilling over into cabinet formation. Here's more from that conversation.
As far as alliance partners go, the Congress has already said that they would like to come on board and they would like to have 2 ministers in this government. The VCK apparently is having second thoughts because they did announce that they would be supporting the government from outside, but now apparently they are not averse to having ministers in the government. Now, that is something that is still being discussed. I don't know the final position on that. Now, having said that, Vijay has moved quite quickly as far as the bureaucracy is concerned and the police. So many of the senior police officers have been shunted out and new ones have been brought in, and likewise in the IAS. But as far as his cabinet goes, there are 2 issues. Does he want to probably decide how many ministries would have to go to allies and work backwards on that? So, if he's going to have to give one heavyweight ministry to the Congress, for instance, then would he sort of hold that until the expansion happens? So, a lot of questions, but clearly I cannot understand why there should be a wholesale delay in allocating portfolios. I can understand maybe 1 or 2 ministries are not filled or are kept vacant. Look, we've always had the question of ministers having additional charge of more than one department. So he could have allocated 2-3 portfolios to a minister for the moment because there are only 9 of them. Besides him, there are 9, so totally 10. So he could easily have allocated, and then when new ministers come in, that portfolio gets transferred to the new minister.
Right. Absolutely. But let's roll back and take a look at this government as a whole. There's been a lot of talk about what their position on various issues will be. I think words like secularism, words like social justice, welfare have been discussed often in the context of this new government taking form and shape a week ago. You saw the Sanatan issue already crop up in Parliament with Udayanidhi Stalin making those controversial remarks yet again. A softening of stance, or rather a very softball approach, has been adopted by the TVK. They haven't exactly criticized the former Deputy Chief Minister, now the leader of the opposition. As far as your analysis is concerned, where do you see this government stand on issues like social justice and secularism and the old Dravidian way of doing things in politics as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned?
So far, most of the decisions seem to be going on line of the previous governments. Whether it is increasing the DA for government staff, shutting down 500, 700 TASMAC shops. We've seen this script before. Every government that has come in before, whether DMK or AIADMK, would start by shutting 400, 500 TASMAC shops. These people are shutting 700. Likewise, the governments would also do this kind of, make government servants happy by increasing their DAs, setting up a special task force for women's safety. I mean, we've seen this script before. Most governments speak this way. I see this government probably being a little sensitive to criticism in terms of the rollback of the astrologer's appointment. They appointed his astrologer as an officer on special duty, Vijay is astrologer, and then they rolled it back within 24 hours because the opposition, went after the appointment quite critically. I think that sort of hinted at a bit of a weakness because first of all, should he have been appointed? I don't think so. But having appointed him, to roll it back under pressure in 24 hours, some people say, this is a government that is receptive to criticism, but I think that's a sign of weakness.
Right. Moving forward, sir, you're seeing this government as it takes form and shape also being met with a bit of a problem of plenty. Although initial reports were that Vijay was struggling to get to that magic number of 118, you saw no sooner than the Congress pledged support, the left parties were more than willing to do the same, VCK as well, with a bunch of conditions, but like you just said, there's a bit of to and fro on that is concerned. A rebel group of AIADMK MLAs are also pledging support right now. What happens to them vis-a-vis disqualification is yet to be seen. Insofar as Vijay's management of allies is concerned, do you see it as smooth sailing, or do you think there could be some rockiness with regard to how he goes about doing that? For example, the AIADMK offer of support comes at a time when the Congress has said that they wouldn't like NDA allies to be part of this mix. Do you see there to be possible conflict that could well emerge from these offers of support?
Look, there are too many contradictions at the moment. So Vijay's government technically survives because of the support of the DMK's allies. Many of these allies have said they continue to be part of the DMK alliance in as many words. So they couldn't have made it clearer. They say we continue in that alliance, but we support this government. Considering that the DMK is the political enemy of the TVK, and TVK has clearly said that one of their major missions is to sort of move the DMK out of power and keep them away from power. This is totally contradictory. So now the AIADMK breakaway faction comes up and offers support. Two problems with that. Vijay has come in claiming to be, purity personified, Tuya Sakti, as he called himself. Now, the AIADMK breakaway faction has at least 2 or 3 ministers who are facing fairly serious corruption charges. Now, you tie up with them and call yourself a pure, force. It doesn't look good. At the same time, if you take them on board, make them ministers, your government becomes stable. You don't have to worry on this one MLA going somewhere and 2 MLAs, having a conversation. All of that gets taken out because your government's strength in the assembly will be 150. So it's a very difficult situation which Vijay has to sort of take a call. Does he continue with his present allies and live from day to day, making sure that, 2 people getting angry and could potentially topple the government? So whether he does that, or does he say, look, maybe my pure quotient would go down a little bit, but let me make my government stable by adding these 25 people. So that's a very, very difficult question. And that's what we've got to see what he does now.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the AIADMK for a bit since you brought them up. 25 versus 22 or 24, that number, of course, keeps going up and down. For all practical purposes, I think it would be fair to say the party is in a bit of an existential crisis, especially when it comes to the technicality of now who the real AIADMK is in assembly, much like what happened with the Shiv Sena in Maharashtra not very long ago. Do you see this party struggling for survival going forward, given that its factionalism has split it wide open in the center? How difficult will the AIADMK find it to survive, at least for the medium term?
Look, I think that the doors are still open for a kind of patch-up between the two factions. Now, the problem really is that Mr. Edappadi Palaniswamy has now led the party to 2 consecutive assembly election defeats. It's never happened in the history of the party. From 1973, the AIADMK has never lost 2 assembly elections continuously. They've always been in power every 5 years. So now this will be the first time. And there is a feeling, and that's shared by a lot of the cadre also, that Mr. Edappadi may not be the person who can revive the party.
And staying with politics from Tamil Nadu, Chief Minister Vijay has taken up the cotton crisis directly with Prime Minister Modi, seeking the removal of the 11% import duty on cotton, warning that soaring raw material prices are pushing the state's textile sector into distress. In a letter to the Prime Minister, Vijay pointed out that cotton prices have surged nearly 25% in just 2 months, from 54,700 rupees to 67,700 rupees per candy, while yarn prices have also climbed in this period. In fact, it was only last week that I spoke to Technosport co-founder and MD Sunil Junjunwala on the recent call to cut import duty on cotton. Here's what he said.
Overall industry perspective, I think all raw materials should not have any import duties, because unless we as an industry don't have raw materials at globally competitive prices, the down chain value addition that we do, the capabilities on textiles that we are trying to build are not globally competitive. So across the board, we don't think there should be any restrictions on any kind of raw materials, irrespective of cotton or synthetic. No import duties, no QCOs, no nothing of that sort should be there. And the industry should have free and fair access to all raw materials, so that they can innovate and give good quality products to the consumers at the reasonable prices.
And ride-hailing giant Uber is doubling down on Hyderabad in one of the biggest office leasing deals seen in this country, at least as far as this year goes. The company has leased over 9 lakh square feet of office space at Meenakshi Eco Park in Hyderabad in a deal valued at nearly 839 crore rupees over a 10-year period. Now, the numbers are significant because Uber, remember, will pay an initial monthly rent of roughly 5.86 crore rupees at 65 rupees per square foot roughly, with rents set to rise 15% every 3 years. The facility alone will have a seating capacity of around 4,600 employees, while Uber also holds an option to lease another 5 lakh square feet by 2028, signaling aggressive India expansion plans. And with that, we've reached the end of today's bulletin. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back real soon with more news and market action from South India. For the moment, it's goodbye.